Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our bold analysis. For last 2 weeks, Raila Odinga spent 4 days in the Lower Nyanza region and visited different counties. The question was, why is it that Raila knew that already he has a big support from Nyanza, and Nyanza vote is surely locked? But why did it take Raila Odinga to go to campaign in Nyanza? And again, what is the rallying call in the Nyanza region? In this election, there are 2 strongholds. The strongholds is only Nyanza and Rift Valley. The other, I think there are 2 tier strongholds. There is the first tier that includes Nyanza and Rift Valley. The second tier is one of Central Kenya, Coast, Western, Coast and Western, and the Ukambani, Lower Ukambani, that is Kalonzo Musyoka space. If you've been keen, you will realize that despite the fact that Raila Odinga, unlike Raila Odinga who has taken time to go and campaign in the Lower Nyanza region, the Kenya Kwanza team, and someone was just challenging me, Don Isabwa, that do we still have Kenya Kwanza, or we should talk about the UDA? The UDA presidential candidate William Samoei Ruto is dotting out the Rift Valley counties. And if you follow through, you'll realize that he was in Western, he went to Kisii, then went to Trans Nzoia. After Trans Nzoia, he flew, went to Narok. After Narok, he came to Kiambu. So there are counties that you will not see William Ruto campaigning. This is Nandi, Uasin Gishu, Kericho, Bomet, West Pokot, and Elgeyo Marakwet. I've also not seen a lot of activity in Samburu. So why do you think Deputy President is not campaigning in most of these Kalenjin counties? And for someone who is there, is it locked? And so there is nothing to look at it. But I want to draw your attention to some very unfortunate, rather to a campaign rally in Trans Nzoia. And the campaign rally in Trans Nzoia had some very interesting highlights. Ruto went there and, I don't want to say abused, but used some very unkind words against Joshua Kutuny. Joshua Kutuny is one of the leaders is the Cherangany MP from Trans Nzoia that I want to understand is going against the grain, because from where he is, they border the Kalenjin community, and of course there is a very strong Kalenjin presence there. And look at how that panned out.
Bado kuna mtu mjinga hapa Trans Nzoia? Iko mtu mjinga huku Cherangani? Pengine kama imebaki pengine si mtu mmoja. Nani huyo? Unasema wajinga waliisha Kenya ama mnasemaje?
Interesting. He called Kutuny mjinga. Okay. Then just on that note, there was also another statement, and of course in Trans Nzoia, one of the problems that is there, because Trans Nzoia, Kitale area, the economy there is on the maize. So one of the contentious issues in Trans Nzoia is normally the maize farming, and that touches on the prices of fertilizer, and 2, the issues of land. Land issues have really been having trouble in that area. Then Deputy President also addressed Natembeya, and according to him, Natembeya kichwa yake sijui inatumia maji. And you know, I listened to that and I was like, is it anger or is it just type of the speech, or what exactly is playing out? Now I want to listen, I wanted to get how Deputy President talked about Natembeya.
Tunaelewana? Hata yule mtu mwenye anatuambia mambo ya kitendawili kwa hii Trans Nzoia, hamujamuuliza huyu kitendawili tangu waingie kwa hii serikali, mbolea imetoka shilingi 2,800, saa hii imefika shilingi 7,000. Kwani hawatumii akili? Wanatumia akili ama wanatumia maji? Sijui kama tunaelewana watu wa Trans Nzoia. Tumeelewana?
So just get the choice of words and you'll find out why do you think he went out to antagonize the voices of dissent, the people that are going against the grain in Rift Valley. And I looked at that, also the issue of land, where he was promising some 1 million acres of land, that is going to buy 1 million acres of land by government money to make sure that he can settle some squatters. I think there was something like that. And so the issue of land also became a very sensitive thing. People were actually trying to ask question, where was that land going to come from? And the Trans Nzoia rally, to me, I think was pointing out to what exactly is the approach of William Ruto in the Rift Valley. I want you to listen to that statement on buying land.
Hapa Kitalale, wale wanaishi hapa, tutadigazet, tutawapatia title deeds, na mutaishi hapa. Siku mutatoka hapa ni kwenda mbinguni peke yake. Tutanunua ekari 1,000,000 ili tuhakikishe ya kwamba wale wote ambao ni maskota tuwatafutie mahali pa kuishi tukitumia pesa ya serikali.
Who lived where? Whose land is ancestrally whose? For example, the whole of Kitale. The Luyas, the Kisis, many of the Kalenjin subtribes who are there today will have to move out because that land ancestrally belonged to the Pokot, the Cherangani, the Sengwer, and the Sabaot.
Oh, but that's a little extreme, Mheshimiwa.
It is not extreme, it is in the Constitution. I will challenge you to go and read it. That's it.
Now, the last other clip I've played for you is a clip of the 2010. It was a show by JKL, but then when he was still in K24. It was actually, that interview was done in April during campaign for the new constitution. And when Ruto was talking about that part, he was actually opposing the land chapter, because in that constitution there was the formation of the National Land Commission that by then the first chairman was Swazuri, if you remember. So there was some clause there that was saying that the National Land Commission was going to review the ancestral land in most of those areas. Number two, there was also capping the arable land that someone can have. I think it was being capped to 2.5. So that touched bit, and that is what William Ruto was referring to when he was talking about the issue, the aspect of Trans Nzoia. Now, that shows you the way the issue of land in Trans Nzoia, it's not a thing for today. It has been there for the last 10 years. And when Ruto was talking, he was referring to, I think, something that happened some time back, even 10 years before. So the issue of land in Trans Nzoia is a big issue. But I want to ask a question, just in the light of what transpired in Trans Nzoia. What is the rallying call for the Rift Valley voters? What is the rallying call for them to vote for deputy president? If you go to Lonyangapuo and you ask Raila Odinga, if you ask supporters why they want Raila Odinga to be the president, you'll get the stories of how it has been a struggle. And I think for the Luo nation, it has been a struggle to presidency. In 2007, 2013, 2017, people have lost lives and there have been a lot of sacrifice in this. So it's about breaking the ceiling. So, but again, in Rift Valley, they've had the President Moi. They've now deputy president for 10 years, William Samoei Ruto. So what exactly sells? Because in 2013, there was ICC, which galvanized the support to rescue one of our sons from the jaws of ICC. Now, in this election, the Hatupangwingwi and the Hustler Nation is not meant for them. The Hatupangwingwi narrative of maybe they're being organized. President Uhuru Kenyatta is not organizing anything, or rather is not planning, is not campaigning for William Ruto in Rift Valley. So Rift Valley is his support base. Those two slogans of Hatupangwingwi and Hustler Nation, those slogans are not working there. So I want to look at it critically. What the Rift Valley vote, why Ruto is not campaigning there, and honestly, what could be underlying issues in the Rift? Because at the end of the day, I think you cannot undermine, you cannot underestimate the power of home ground. That the Rift Valley vote rallying call in this August 9 general election is not solid. I don't think there is a solid, convincing, and let's not say convincing, but I don't think there is a solid, understandable, universal call for the Kalenjin nation to vote Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. And that is possible because, again, Ruto is struggling to pitch his 10 years tenure as a deputy president. Now, the 10 years track record is a bit flawed. It is flawed because if you look at the first term, the Aror and Kimorer Dam scandal was touching into the lives of residents in Elgeyo Marakwet. This do not need magical science, but if you are to campaign in Elgeyo Marakwet there and you go to talk to people around that place and they are facing problems of water shortage, but somewhere you can manage to convince them that things are not this way because there was a plan to build here a dam, and that did not go through. And even though the president, or rather the government, works in policy and it's not on discrimination, but as the virtue of him being a deputy president, I want to understand that there is a bit of that expectation that people want to achieve, want to see from him being a deputy president in that position. Remember, this is an area that also had the second president of the country. So you can see this 10-year speech on deputy president Rift Valley. It is also an issue, and it seems to have been brought by what the Central Kenya team are doing, because the Central Kenya team are at the neck, holding the neck of President Uhuru Kenyatta on what exactly have you done for us as a president in 10 years. Do you think that voters in that area, even at local level, or rather influential personalities, will also ask the same question? And this brings me to a very exclusive point that when I was doing peer analysis came out. Where are influential Kalenjins? Are they scared of deputy president? Are they coalescing around deputy president? That is the question. Because as a deputy president, he had all the trappings of power, and he had all the privileges to coalesce business interests around. But I see a man that created enemies. One of the influential business personalities in Rift Valley is Buzeki. And Buzeki has been frustrated in the Uasin Gishu race for a long time, even though initially he was deputy president, but they fell out. I see a possibility that the influential business personalities, or rather influential persons in Rift Valley, are scared of deputy president. And this could be because of the business interest, because they know that this is a man that is not a shareable man. He's not going to share. He's going to make sure that he has all the trappings of power around himself. Lastly, I see a question on the minority group might hurt the Kalenjin ballot. The minority group are not overwhelmingly appreciative of the candidature of deputy president. And that is why when he met with a minority group in Joro, that is in Nakuru, 3 weeks ago, media were kicked out because maybe he needed to go deep and speak to their hearts. Tanzania is also a place that has minority groups. I also want to understand that what Lonyangapuo is doing in West Pokot on the other side, Lonyangapuo is trying to make the West Pokot being a minority amongst the Kalenjin community. And that in its sense might hurt the ballot. So to me, I was just trying to point out what is still undone, or rather points that are not yet tied. And of course, this is my speculation. But then you can also tell us from Rift Valley, why do you think Ruto is so much committed? And I wish people can get to my line and talk to us about this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and that's my bold.